Sunday the 23rd of March 2025, and it is time to do Bill's Big Bot Bash. What is Bill's Big Bot Bash, I hear you ask? It's a thing this guy called Bill runs. So the idea with Bill's Big Bot Bash is you build a robot from junk. So I've got a variety of, these are sort of model kits that I found in a charity shop. I've got a little junk box here which has got some things I took out of old printers and hi-fi, things like that. I was in a charity shop the other day and managed to pick up a little Airfix kit. That was just a couple of quid, so there'll be some bits of the tank that we can pinch. So the only rule is you can't 3D print anything, but basically what you do is you print out Bill's sheet. You get that from his website. I will put a link down below to everything that he does. Do go check out his website. He's absolutely fantastic. So I printed out the sheet, and this is the junk bot generator. So this is how we work out what kind of robot we've got to build. So we throw a dice, got a 20-sided dice here. We're going to throw that 6 times, and each time it's going to give us a number. First one's going to be for the body, then the head, then the hands, then the arm, then the legs, and then the flavour of the robot. And that is going to tell us what we've got to try and build. I'm going to record all this on camera, so I'm not going to try and make it easy for myself. There are a couple of real nightmare things on here, like with the legs where it says centipede. Don't really want to make a load of legs, but, you know, we'll see what we get. So we're looking for number 14 on the legs roll. We're trying to avoid that one. So let's get started and see what we end up with. So the first roll of the dice, we've got number 4. So we're just going to write that down over here. Next roll of the dice, oh, get it in the thing. We got 16, so that was for the head. Arms are going to be 12. Hands are 16. 14 is the one we don't want, I think, for the legs. We got a 3, so that might be even worse. We'll find out in a minute. And the flavour is 19. So let's go through and see what that gives us. Body first, 4, should be leaking. Okay, well that's, should it be leaking? Well, that's interesting. Head, 16, bad breath. Okay, kind of makes me think of a dragon's head or something like that, but it could be drunk, I suppose. Arms, we have got number 12, triple jointed. Okay. Hands, we are on number 16, calamari. Okay, well I do like a squid or an octopus, so that's going to fit in nicely. Calamari hands. I've got no idea how we're going to do that. Legs are number 3, spidey legs. Okay, well calamari hands and spidey legs. We've definitely got a sort of octopusy type creature there. And finally, the flavour, 19, killing machine. Okay, so that's what we've got. Should be leaking for the body, bad breath for the head, triple jointed for the arms, calamari for the hands, spidey for the legs, and killing machine for the flavours. I got no idea what we're going to make out of that. So I think what we're going to need to do is get the sketchbook out and grab a coffee. Legs, I think we'll go for really thin legs. That's what I'm going to take from Spider. And we might make them hairy as well. Short, fat and hairy. Like Ernie Wise. And I think I quite like the idea of the feet going in all directions, being a bit mad. Bit like the roller skating spider from Harry Potter. If we had the back legs sticking out in that direction, and then we'll have 3 front legs like that. Okay, there you go. That's going to be that. So that means we're going to want a body yay big. Let me see what I can find. Okay, so this is a little sauerkraut pot, and that is roughly the right scale. That's what we're going to build that out of. Arms. Yeah, we're going to make those calamari hands. They can just be, you know, like this. That's what they're going to do. We'll find something in there to make those out of. So I think the first thing to do is work out how are we going to make this so we can attach lots of stuff to it. I'm going to have a little experiment with these bits today, but basically I want to give myself Monday and Tuesday to try and build this model. It will be whatever it's going to be in those 2 days. And then if I can get that done by the end of Tuesday, then that will give me Wednesday and Thursday to paint it. And then I can just make whatever kind of video this is going to be on the Friday and then post it on Friday evening. Good coffee. Right, first thing I want to do is try and get these things together. I've sanded down the edges so they're going to fit together roughly like this. And this is going to make the sort of turret for the top. So that is the plan. I'm going to see if I can put those together in a minute. I've got a little piece of wood here. I'm going to try and get a bit of that in there so I can get a nice tight hold on everything. I'm not sure exactly how well this is going to glue together with these plastics. So I thought if I could get a little bit of wood in there, I could actually put some screws in it. And that will hold it nice and tight. So those bits need to go together. Then the next thing is I want to fit these bits of cork into here with a bit of glue, drill some holes in there, and then we can make the little legs to go underneath. And then we'll try and fit those to the bottom. So first task, I think, is see if we can assemble this thing, then see if we can attach the feet to the bottom. So I'm glad I'm giving myself a tight schedule for this project, because I don't want to... I could spend months making something like this, I think. Although I've never actually done one of these bot challenges before. But I really like doing this sort of model making stuff. I used to work a long time ago. Well, I had a job for a little bit, working for a guy called Harry Lang. And he worked on 2001 and Star Wars and Bond movies and The Dark Crystal and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, really lovely chap. And he gave me a little job when I was about, I don't know, 19, 20 or something like that. As a runner. Which is just, you know, someone that runs around, fetches the sandwiches and cigarettes in those days it was, and sour milk. Anyway, but I ended up making models as well as fetching the cigarettes, and it was great. I enjoyed it. He was designing a project making kind of spaceships and space design things to go over a shopping centre above the A1 at Hatfield. And it was right before there was a big financial crash. And the guy that was putting up all the money for all the spaceships which were going to go in a shopping mall, which was kind of a wacky idea, the crash came and everybody decided that maybe they didn't need spaceships. But I worked on the project for 3 or 4 months or something like that, I suppose. And it was really interesting. Met some amazing people. They'd all sort of worked in the film industry. There was one guy there that he was an engineer, and he was either trained to design boats or something like that. But other than that, everybody else was TV and movie people. And we were working out of Elstree up in North London. And I used to go in and see this guy whose name I can't remember, who was a props guy who'd worked in the movies, and he had this. It was old guy. I'm an old guy now. He's an old guy, and he got just this amazing workshop full of all this stuff. He'd got, original Star Wars posters. It was Revenge of the Jedi on the wall, and he'd got, I can't remember if it was a Wookiee or something like that in the corner of the room, but it was that kind of place, and just all these movie props, which was kind of before there were quite so many sort of hardcore collectors of these things, so they were just kind of, lying around in his workshop, and it was incredible to go and see. And there was a place around the corner where they made foam sculptures for movies. So like if you're watching Indiana Jones and they're at Petra, and it seems like they're actually there at Petra, and things are 40-foot tall, sculpted. They were just made out of foam, and there was, I think there were only one or two guys that worked in this huge warehouse with these giant blocks of foam, and they were just run around and make these amazing sculptures. Quite incredible what they could do, and they were so skilled. I mean, just as artists, let alone as simply, somebody working on a movie. They were so talented. They could make anything. Anyway, so I've always liked making models. I ended up working in the games industry for most of my adult life, some of which I thoroughly enjoyed. And there I was, or I became, a 3D modeler in the main. That was my main job. So it was making lots of stuff, but within the computer, which was also good fun. You can do amazing things with 3D graphics in computer games and films and stuff. But making physical things is really good fun. So the gun turret, the main gun turret, is pretty much done. It needs to be fixed at the top, but that's pretty good. That's what he's going to look like. So that's the killing part. Let's just check what we've got on the list here on our junk bot generator. Make sure we're fulfilling everything. So the flavour was killing machine, and those two big things definitely fit the bill there. Over here I've stuck the legs together. So I've used, can you see those from there? We're going to have 5 legs on my thing. I know spiders in theory have 8, but he's having 5. He's an alien bot thing. So we're going to have these two either at the front or the back. I haven't decided yet. And then these will be the other way around. And I've just put some super glue on there and some of the bicarbonate of soda, and that seems to have held that quite nicely. I'll give them a proper test tomorrow. And then for these top bits, I've just shoved some cork into the end there, and then they'll go on the bottom of here. Ooh, that's the tongue. And I'll just put some holes in there, and then I can screw all of those bits onto the bottom, and that'll hold that. That little mouth is ready there, so this all needs sort of sculpting into a tongue kind of thing, and then pretty much once I've got fixed those side bits onto there. So this is the main head part that's going to have this on the top. We've got some greeblies, so that's going to go roughly like that, sat on top of that with the feet underneath. So kind of getting there. Anyway, that is going to do for today, I think. I'm going to go and get some sleep, and we'll go again tomorrow. Right, so it is Tuesday morning, and before I go off to work, I just need to turn the body, this bit, into more of a barrel shape. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cut some curves on here, little ribs, stick them around there, and then that'll give it some more of a barrel shape, and then I can put the sort of wooden planks on that are all hanging off and leaking on there. So I'm going to have a look at cutting a bit of foam. So in theory, I need to finish the modelling today. I could leave a little bit for the morning, tomorrow, just a few extra greeblies and stuff, but if I want to get it, I probably need to leave a couple of days for painting, just because of the drying time that will need to be in there somewhere. So I need to try and get whatever the build of this is going to be done today. So what I'm going to do now is cut a little curve here to represent the outside of the barrel. That'll do. Bit rough, but you know, you can kind of see that if that's in focus. I'm using so many different tools for this that the desk is like a bomb's gone off, which I don't really like. I like things tidy, but never mind. What we'll do is we'll cut these into little slices and then they'll go around the barrel. Brilliant. Right, so this has stuck down nicely now, so we've got much more of a barrel shape on this. So that's looking really good. What I'm going to do now is, where I've got the mouth, I'm just going to trim some of these pieces. And then I think I'm going to fix the feet onto the bottom. And then I'm going to cover this in Mod Podge, rather, this stuff. This type of foam will react with the super glue, which I want to use to stick on this kind of foam. So this has got what's going to make up the bits of the actual barrel, as it were, the planks. Super glue should stick those on there nicely, but this won't take super glue. Also, I'm going to spray paint this with a primer out of a rattle can before I do the actual painting. And again, the spray paint out of that will react with this, basically dissolving it. So that's no good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat it in some Mod Podge, and that will just form a bit of a seal on this. I'll probably mix the Mod Podge with a bit of black acrylic paint, and then that will allow me to then stick the super glue over the top. I think. Okay, so I've cut the pieces, the opening for the mouth here, just laid out the feet the way I want them to go. So I'm going to have the two big ones on the front and then the three little ones on the back. What I'm going to do now is just use a Sharpie just to mark. Right. So while the Mod Podge is Mod Podge, I always call it Mod Podge, not Mod Podge, Mod Podge, Mod Podge. While the Mod Podge is drying, we're going to see if we can attach these pieces to the side and get the gun turret on the top. Right, so I have stuck a few greeblies onto the top of here, a couple of bits of the tank, some bits of wire, just some other odd little things I found lying around. Then I've drilled two extra holes in here on either side, rough that up, and then this is where we're going to fit this in here like that now. That is the plan. So let's see if we can squeeze all these bits together. Right, we've got that bit there. What we want now, this is all still nice and posable, so that's great. It's looking pretty good. I quite like these bits on the side, so I think I'm going to add a couple of greeblies to the back, or maybe just one No, two on the back. So again, we'll just give that a bit of a sand. There you go. Brake lights. Thought of everything. Oh, that wants something on the back as well, doesn't it? Right, so I'm going to need something to cover this screw up here. Not too worried about the two on the side, but we might want to get something to go on the back, just here. Got these little half moon things. After the lovely people on Bill's Discord group told me that the things you use to make rivets. So Bill covers his models in rivets, and the people on his Discord told me you could get these little things on Amazon's. They're kind of like half pearl things. I guess you use them for costume making or something or other. Anyway, Bill covers his robots in rivets, so I thought I'd better get some of these and just, you know, put some on there as an homage. So I'm going to put a couple of these on the back. So this is drying well. There he is, got his little face on. So we got, that's taken okay. So we've got the panelling to go round here. But I think it's time we dealt with the arms. And they, I think, are going to want to go here. So we've got them like this. And then they can bend around and we'll make some sort of, you know, the hand bit to go on here. But so I think we probably want to try and make the hands, however they're going to work. And then make something nice and strong to put these on here somehow, either filling in that hole down there or finding something else that I can stick on there. So I found a way of fitting the arms onto this. What I've done is made the hole down here slightly bigger. I've then pushed that back so the shoulder joint into there. I've then used a nice big ugly pile of super glue and bicarbonate of soda. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to cut this extra bit off, and then I can screw one of these onto the bottom of there again. So these are proving really helpful. And then that will hide that up. And then when I've got it on there, I might look and see if we want to add some sort of greeblies on this to make it look a bit better. But having done that one, I'm now going to do the same on this side, and then we'll have arms coming over like this. I've taken off the lower arms, and what I've done is I've added some corks onto the end. So these still jointed. So these are the hands, the calamari. Was it hands or arms? Calamari hands. So what I'm going to do now is I've got some wire, and I'm going to drill some more holes in here, put some of this wire in. It's quite a thick copper wire, so it's nice and strong. And then I'll add some suckers onto the end of the wire, and then put something on here as well. So it'll be all sort of suckery like this, and that'll be the calamari hands. Obviously. So yeah, I think these corks are working well. They give me a general, quite a good shape because they're a bit tapered. Well, they're easy to fit things in and stick things to. So yeah, corks are the way to go. So these are our suckery little arms. There you go. Calamari hands. I'll pose all those properly later and then fix them back on there. Cool. Now, I'll make the other one. So I'm starting to cut some strips for what are going to be the wooden planks on the barrel. just going to cut a whole load of these. It's about 12.5mm wide. And then we'll just put them on like I've done here, just sticking them on, going around, making them rough, broken. It's, you know, the brief is, you know, the exact wording. You can probably remember it, because from your point of view, I only said this 2 minutes ago. Oh, it's right in front of me. Should it be leaking? Should it be leaking? It probably shouldn't be leaking, but doesn't mean it isn't. So, everything's gone quite well today, touch wood, so far. I've disassembled the little robot again. So we got the half the arm and then the hands in one piece. Got the whole gun turret and top part of the body. This bit comes apart as well. So what I need to do now is get these bits put on here, make it look more like a barrel, probably try and get a little bit of wood texture on just by sort of scribing into this stuff. I think I should be able to do something like that, which will make it a little bit easier when it comes to painting. And if I can get, I've got all that done today, that'll be okay, because that will just leave the interior of the mouth to sculpt. And to be honest, I can do quite a minimal job on that if need be. I'll just tidy the tongue up so he sort of sticks out through there, and that should be okay. So yeah, I reckon if I can get that looking barrel-like today, then it'll be ready for painting tomorrow. What I'll try and do is just give it a prime before I go off to work in the morning, and then that'll be in pretty good shape then for me to just put some basic tones first pass on of the paint in the evening, and then do whatever I'm going to do with the inside of the mouth, and I think that'll be okay. So yeah, carry on with these and see how it goes. Good morning. So today is Wednesday, just before work. I want to get these sprayed before I go off to work, so they'll be dried and ready for painting tonight. I'm just running over this foam with a little pointy thing. This is a file, but you could use a pencil or anything. And I'm just putting some wood grain into that. I don't know if you can see that, but you know, maybe that'll be in focus, maybe it won't. If it's not, well, you'll see it later. So yeah, just scoring a little bit of wood grain down here. Then I'll go and spray everything with some primer, and then that'll be dry by the time I get back, and I can get into painting proper. So I'll see you later. So I have primed. There's the body, all primed. And you can see he's got slightly less of a little old lady twin set and pearls kind of look about him now, and more of a kind of goth monster robot barrel thing going for him. But before I get into painting this properly, I've got to do the inside. So that is going to consist of popping these bits in here, and then this piece is going to be the tongue, which I want to get coming through here. So I've got to kind of sculpt that with some files and get it to a point where I can sit him in there and the tongue can kind of come out here. So that's what we're going to get on with now. Trying to work out. There's his tongue in there. He looks like a suitably rude and horrible monster. So probably stick him about that much. Yeah, so I'll smooth that off now. Get some of the Mod Podge on there to seal it. And then I can start painting everything. So I'm just putting some silver on here, very lightly, not on everything, you know, super thoroughly. Just trying to give this most of the body a basic metallic coat, so it looks like it was, broadly speaking, made of metal. Right, just painting the inside of the mouth now. And I thought, as he's got bad breath, I'd make the inside of his mouth green. Because, you know, why wouldn't it be? So I'm just dropping in a base coat. Here's the tongue, which is now moulded. Nice. So I just put some dark green on there, and then I'm just going to work my way up through the greens until I sort of end up with the tone I want. Building it up. Not quite dry brushing it on, but just very, very lightly putting it on there and blending it. And then I'll keep the texture that's, you know, I've only roughly sanded this bit of foam. So if I do it like this, some of the darker greens will stay underneath and it will look a bit like the surface of a tongue, hopefully. Okay, that actually might be a bit, this might dry slightly darker, so we'll see what it's like. But there's his mouth, which I've now painted up the wooden bits on, and there's his tongue. So that's going to go in there and stick out. There you go, that's really gross. Marvellous. Brilliant. Okay, so I've just added a bit of brass around the top of him. Just a first coat on there. And now I'm going to start to play with the panelling on the gun section. And I think I'm going to go with red. That will contrast the green tongue nicely, and, you know, it's a robot. He wants to be colourful. So I'm just going to start dabbing it in. I want all the paintwork to be damaged and chipped. So I'm just going to sort of dab it on again using a similar technique to what I was doing before. Not covering everything up, but just building up the panels, leaving some of them so they could be slightly different colours. Not overdoing it, just trying to find a balance so it looks like a real object. So it's got this nice, you know, the metal effect works really well on here, so it looks like the thing is made of metal. What I need to do now is make it look like it was bits of painted metal, and once upon a time it looked really smart and funky. It doesn't need to look like it's was logically built as one vehicle, because obviously the stomach is made of a barrel with a giant tongue sticking out of it. But so it could be all sorts of bits of scrap that have been kind of robbed from other machines, and this thing has, you know, built itself by assembling parts. So I can put some random other colours in there as well, as if I want to. But if it starts looking like it's coming together in a really balanced kind of way, then I'll let it be balanced. We'll just see what happens. Well, it's Thursday afternoon and I am back at the bench. So we're nearly finished. Just making a few tiny corrections to things. I put a little bit of tape on here last night to get some little decal effects, and when I peeled the tape off I took off the paint underneath with me. That's because I'd put it on, I put the tape on too early. It probably hadn't completely dried underneath, so I've just patched that up, repainted the red on there. That's okay now. They'll get dirtied up in a minute when the red's dried. I decided I wanted a couple of extra bits on the end of the hands. So what I've done is I've stuck some extra little bits of bead on there, on this one, a couple of bits of bead on this one, and then I've just primed them, which is why they're white at the moment. So that's just drying. then I will paint those. So the main thing left to do now is just to add a few silver edge highlights. So just going to run along there where the pieces of metal are going to be most worn. So I'm just going to put some little highlights on there, and then I want to paint this eye just here. So I want that to look like a real eye-ish. So that's it really. A couple of little repairs on there, paint the eye, add some little bits and bobs on there, and then I'll assemble him and he'll be done. So I'm really pleased with the way this has all turned out actually. It's been great fun doing this. Didn't quite know what I was doing or what it was going to be like, but the whole process has been really, really good fun. Taking all these different bits of junk, and the foam has been quite a revelation on the body there. That's really good fun to model with, and you get lots of happy accidents with the way it goes on there. It's really easy to leave a texture on, so that's really, really nice. I've also enjoyed the little bits of styrene that I put on this box right at the beginning. I think this central piece of plastic here came from a printer or something like that, and by just adding that little bit onto the top and the bottom, it's really come together nicely. It makes it look I'll edit out the giant gap in a minute. Yeah, by putting those little bits of styrene on there, it's made it into a whole new thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy called Adam Savage. I was wearing one of his t-shirts earlier on in the week, I think, which I'm sure will pop up. It looks like a NASA logo, but it's got Savage written on it. He used to do Mythbusters and stuff like that, but before that, and indeed afterwards, he used to make movie props. I think he worked on some of the Star Wars movies and some other bits and bobs like that. And if you have a look at his channel, he's got some great bits where he's making, recalling his times working for Industrial Light and Magic, making Star Wars models and cutting up styrene, and he really knows what he's doing, obviously, because he's a professional. But yeah, check out his YouTube channel and websites and things like that, and some of the videos he's made are amazing. He makes lots of cool stuff. So if you're into the kind of weirder and wackier side of making things, he's another good website to check out. Amazing guy, and seems like an incredibly nice guy too. So if I put I'll put some highlights on the top of this. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this on camera, but just very, very lightly going over this here. This probably won't be in focus, but just here, and by putting a little bit on there, it just picks it up. It makes it look like the edge has been scratched in the past, and it makes it look like a real object. It's a really easy way of getting little scratches and nicks and things on the model, and just brings it to life. Helps give it a sense of scale as well, I think. You don't need to overdo it. Just run around and add a few bits here and there. And if the brush gets a little bit dry, that helps too. You can then get some nice sort of scratchy effects as you run it across the edge. Just use the side of the brush and just kind of go. Don't know if you're going to see this from here, but like this. So just run in the brush on the edge of the side, on the edge of the piece. Run the brush just on the side of it like that, down the edge, and you'll get really, really thin line, but it's just like a piece of metal that's been worn through over time. Nice little effect. So as I say, today is Thursday, and this, in a couple of hours, I will have this finished. That will be the end of the Big Bot Bash for this year for me. What I'm going to do then on Friday is try and make a video, which in theory, well, if you're watching this on Friday, then I managed to do it. So that will be tomorrow's exercise. I thought I'd take this opportunity to see if I could make a video start to finish in a week, because the whole YouTube video creation process is all part of this, being creative and trying something new for me. So the making the video is kind of just as much fun as building the bot. And it's just really a case of going over it very gently and building up layers. Don't try and paint, don't try and paint it all in one go. If you do that, you'll end up with, obvious splodges from the brush. But if you just keep adding tiny little bits very lightly, one over the other, in the end you end up with a chaotic, more natural pattern, and it looks like something that's, properly worn. Cool. And I'm just going to add in a tiny bit of silver into there and do some similar stippling. So I want to suggest that as the gun has fired, this is, the black is partly soot, but it's also partly where the paint has burnt off the barrel with the heat. What I'm going to do for the eyeball is just work my way around from putting in little strokes, starting with a very dark grey, sort of deep into the eye socket, and then mixing in a little bit more of a lighter tone as I work my way around. Just putting lots of little lines in there and bringing it forward to accentuate the depth, really. So making it look like it's nicely shadowed at the back and lighter as we come forward. Then just mix some more tone in again, come slightly forward and do the same thing again. And then I should end up with a sort of interesting, strange, iris-like effect. Right, that needs to dry a little bit. And then I'll add a sort of central green-ish iris, I think, which will just echo the tongue a little bit. Cool. So there's a little eye done. And I think what I need to do next is just assemble it. Let's put all the bits together and see if there's anything else we need to do. Make a bit of space. just twists in there, and then we have him looking slightly to the side at a sort of jaunty angle. Then so I hope you've enjoyed watching this video of me doing the Big Bot Bash 2025. Remember to check out Bill's website and YouTube page. Let me know in the comments below if there are any other projects you'd like to see me having a go at. Anything else you'd like to see me try and build or paint or make, or anything arty at all, from fine portraits and landscapes or whatever to building a crazy robot. Go like that. Like that. And that is my little beastie monster. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And remember, don't forget to enjoy your art journey.